Hello, Journey readers, and welcome to today's oil change. I will be expositing on chapters 9 through 11 of Exodus, and I just want to bring out two main points. One, God's sovereign interaction with Pharaoh during these chapters, and two, God's grace, how his grace interplayed through it all. So the first point I want to make is that many theologians often have a discourse regarding God's role in Pharaoh's hardening of his heart. And to that end, I used to believe that God intentionally and purposely hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not have a choice in the matter, so that God's purpose would have been completed, which was to release the enslaved Israelites, showing forth his power so that the Israelites may worship him. So throughout the text, we read Moses' interaction with Pharaoh, where Moses goes to Pharaoh and says, "Let my people go so that they may worship me." The sovereign Lord says, Yahweh says, "Let my people go so that they may worship me." And that was Moses' prophetic exchange with Pharaoh, the Pharaoh of Egypt. However, if you read in context, and especially in chapter 7 of Exodus, you see that Pharaoh's heart was already hardened. He already was, and by hardness of heart, meaning he had a stiff mind, a stubborn mind. His mind was already made up that he was not going to release the Israelites. He had other political and economic objectives in mind of building this great empire of Egyptians on free labor, basically. And I'm using my words here carefully. But we do know that since he had his mind already made up, then in chapters 9 through 11, when we see that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, it's really a euphemism that God really released his grace on Pharaoh at that point to change his mind. His mind had become so firm. As a matter of fact, that is what the literal translation is. Harden, it means a firmness, or has such a hard stand on his decision to not release the Israelites that God simply removed his grace of it all and let him stay there. So that's really where the term hardening of Pharaoh's heart by God gets its underlying meaning. And you see this throughout scripture as well. The goodness comes from God, the ability for us to change our minds and move toward a more gracious and good outcome is from God, because he is a good God, innately good God. No evil or wrong is in him. So the sovereignty of God does interplay in humankind, whether they are for him or against him, whether they're Christians or non-Christians, so that his purpose may take place. And we see all through the Old and New Testament where God works through the evil intentions of many to bring about a more glorious outcome, or a greater good, some would call it. And so I just want you to leave with that the goodness that God has can be removed, in the sense that if you are stubborn and you made up your mind and your choice to just stick with what you want to do or how you think, then there is a point where substantively you will just stay there and God will leave you at where you want to be, out of the free will that you already have and possess. And then the other thing is his grace abounds in this world, that he can work through it nonetheless, work through your obstinacy nonetheless, as we see in these chapters 9 through 11 of Exodus, where basically Pharaoh had to go through 10 plagues. And in my particular chapters, he went through darkness, and then the loss of the firstborn, and the boils, and loss of the crops and the farming, and all of that, to just come to the decision of saying, okay, go. And then he asked God to bless him. Well, he asked Moses to ask his God to bless him. Very important. Moreover, God's grace did extend, especially in the plague of the hailstorm, to even those that were God-fearers. They weren't Israelites, but anyone who would listen to him, if you believed him and put away your animals and your livestock and your people and kept them away from the harm of the hailstorm, then you would be saved. And some people, some Egyptians did do that, because at that point they had been through already 8 plagues, and they said, you know, this Yahweh is no joke. Let's believe Moses this time and put away our livestock and our slaves so that they won't be killed in the hailstorm. So with that, God's grace abounds the more through the evil intentions of some and through the good, yielding heart that is already existing in his followers. May God bless you in today's oil change. Have a great day.